All right, Lions fans, I think we might have it this time. Okay. I want to give some thoughts on the 2022 preseason. The preseason just ended a couple of minutes ago with a loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers in the third game. The Lions go 1-3 in the preseason. What I would like to give is my thoughts on the preseason as a whole, more focusing on this Steelers game and where I think that our boys end up in the regular season. Let's start at quarterback. We already know who the number one quarterback is Jared Goff, who did not play a single snap in this game. And coach already said that he wouldn't. But this game was really more of who was going to be in the number two spot, who was going to be the backup. And I think that Blau won the job over Boyle. Boyle has not been good. When Golf was out last season, Boyle was not good. And we didn't really see Blau, but I think that Blau won the job. I know he had a mess up a couple of games ago where he bobbled a snap that could have cost the game, but I think he made up for it in this game with his poise and his awareness. I think that flip, I want to say it was in the second quarter when he flipped the ball forward on fourth down to keep the drive going, and definitely that fourth quarter flip where he had enough awareness to know that he stayed behind the line of scrimmage and flipped it in for a touchdown. He's definitely not mobile, but he's mobile enough to stay in the pocket. If the pocket breaks down, to move up and still throw the ball. I think he had a lot to prove, and I think he did it. I mean, he took some hits and he stayed in there to show that he wants that number two job. But with that being said, if somehow Jared Goff goes down, I am not understanding. I don't really think that I'm not understanding how well we're gonna do. I don't think we're gonna do well if Jared Goff is hurt. I think that Blau can do enough to keep the game somewhat close, but not enough to really win us games. Let's move to the running back spot. This one, we already know who one and two are. Swift and Williams going to be the 1-2 punch, but this is really more so who's going to be in that third and fourth spot. I think that Craig Reynolds did enough to make the team again and to be a good give a good breather to the one and two guys. But what do you all think? Did you think it's Craig Reynolds or did you think it was one of the other backs? As for the receivers, we pretty much know that Williamson, Chark, and St. Brown are going to be the 1, 2, and 3. But really, this is about 4 and 5. And there's a lot of guys going for those spots. There is Quintez Cephas, there's Kennedy, there's Trinity Benson, there is Pimpleton, all and Khalif Raymond, who I think are all going for those spots. I do like Khalif Raymond to get one of those two spots because I think that his speed is something that you can't make up for. But then that leaves 3, 4 guys going for that fifth spot. So who did you all see? Who stood out to you? Who you think would do a good job at that spot? As for tight end, we know that Hawkinson is our starting tight end, but who did you see and who did you like to come out as the number two tight end? I think that Funches made a good showing of it. Now, as for receiving tight end, I think that Funches will do well because I think that he will post mismatches to linebackers because he is a converted receiver. But I think that if the Lions go in a two receiver set, he's not who you're going to want in there blocking. As for the offensive line, everyone is saying that the Lions have a top five offensive line this season, and I would say I believe it. But what caused me concern is in the second quarter when we were at our own 25 and coach went for it on 4th and 1, a top five offensive line should be able to push a defensive line enough in order for you to get 1 yard. Now, maybe that had less to do with our old line and more to do with the fact that DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams were not in there to get that 1 yard. But I still think that our line, because to be honest, the Steelers D line penetrated the line. Our line should have got them back enough to where we could have gotten 1 yard. So that concerns me because there's going to be some games where it's going to come down to 3rd and 1, 3rd and 1.5, and you're going to expect the top five offensive line to push and get you and to get you that yard. With that being said, I still think that the old line will be fine, but that does give me a little bit of concern. Moving on to the defense, I think that the defensive ends of Charles Harris, Romeo Okoro, and Aiden Hutchinson are going to be fine. I did not see a ton of quarterback pressure, but I think it could be due to the fact that they didn't play a whole game, that they were kind of playing in spots. The D tackles look good. Brockers, a limb. I think that the D tackles look good. I really think that we're starting to get a good front four that could do pretty good because they did a good job stuffing runs when they were short. But now we get to the linebackers where I think we're going to have issues. Malcolm Rodriguez probably will and should make the team. We have Derek Barnes. We have Anzalone. We have Pascal, who we drafted this year in the second round. And we still have Julian Okora. But I did not see enough pressure coming from the ends, especially those outside linebackers, to get to the quarterback. And I think that we are still a good dog linebacker away from being competitive, because the linebackers, to me, was a weak spot. Now I like Malcolm. I think he'll do good. And to be honest, Derek Barnes is really best fit to be an outside linebacker. They have him at middle linebacker. But if you look at his tape when he was at Purdue, he's better on the outside rushing the quarterback. For some reason, they don't have him there. They're putting him at middle linebacker. So I think that's going to be a point of weakness for us, but I'd like to know what you think about it. When we get to the corners, I think the corners is the second point of weakness on the defense. Now, here's a good note. If you watch the Steelers game, I'm sorry, I didn't mean Okorie, I mean Okuda. I thought he actually looked good in coverage in this game. He looked good in the run, coming up, stopping the run. And I thought he did a good job, especially at the goal line when he, with no pass interference, knocked the ball down and saved a touchdown. So I do think that Okuda is kind of starting to look the part. Now, let's hope that he builds on that. Let's hope that he continues to get healthy and maybe he can be the number one, number two. It seems that Okorie, I'm sorry, Orrin is going to be one of the starting corners. But who's going to be number two? Is it going to be Mike Hughes? Is it going to be Jerry Jacobs, Parker, Okuda? Will it be, I don't think Will Harris, who moved from safety to corner, be a number two, but he could be a good big 3 or 4 corner when they go in like the big nickel. But what do you think about the corners? Is there somebody who you think should be the number two, and who do you think out of that bunch is not going to make the team? Then we move to the safeties. I think we're going to be fine at safety with Deshaun Elliott and Tracy Walker. I just think that they aren't ball hawks. Ed Reed, these guys definitely aren't. I don't think that they put fear in quarterbacks of throwing the ball in the middle of the field, but I do think that they're both good run defenders. So we should have a good year of stopping the run, because like I said, those front four are good for TFLs, and I think those safeties are good coming up stopping the run. And as far as special teams go, we know that Fox is probably the best punter in the league, so he'll be fine. But it's going to come down Tuesday. We'll find out who gets that spot in as our kicker. I said before about a month ago that I thought that the Lions would go between 6 and 9 wins, and I actually still do believe that. I believe that the offense with Jared Goff out there is more of what we saw against that first drive against the Falcons than we've seen the last 2 weeks. But I think that we just need to see if that old line is going to be able to hold up against good, strong defensive lines. I think that the running back spot is we're looking good there. Receivers, I think that Jared Goff has the weapons at receiver and tight end to get the ball moved around. And then when we get the defense, like I said, I'm happy with the D line, but I am still a little iffy and concerned about the linebackers. I think that the linebackers could still be a point of weakness. Also, the backup offensive line could also be a point of weakness. So we have to pray and hope that our starting five can make it through the season healthy and enough to keep Jared Goff, clean. Other than that, Lions fans, that's what I thought about the preseason, and I would like to know what you think. Did you like what you saw in the preseason? Do you think that Dan Campbell has this team going in the right direction? And do you agree with me that it's going to be 6 to 9 wins, or are you thinking maybe 6 wins and under? And what do you think about some of the position battles? Give us your thoughts, like, comment, subscribe, and share. And we're gonna do our best to stay on this when the regular season starts after each game, giving a little breakdown of the games. Other than that, Lions fans, one pride. That's all I got. Talk to y'all later.